sit. So he loves his mat, but you see how he wanted to run on his mat. But you do this exercise where you control his access on and control his access off. That's how we teach him a solid stay in a short period of time. So it's a loose leash. I brought him up to the mat, I had him sit with my right hand. No, make sure, and if you have to, just tap like that, and he'll go back to where he was. Never hold on. If you have continuous tension, it'll make him pull more, and it'll make everything fall apart. So it's always loose, and you communicate with little taps. With your right hand, you pat his chest, and you say, go to your mat, and then down. If he doesn't go right away, it's a brand new mat, so he's smelling it. He loves to smell things. And notice how I walked with him. I sent him over, I walked over with him, and he hesitated to go down, so I just helped him with my left foot. And actually, there wasn't even much tension on the leash. He doesn't need much at this point. And we're teaching him a much higher level of focus just by practicing basic downstays where he accepts me walking around both ways. See how we just did that? And then he gets a reward. Always reward this way. The delivery of the reward is really important. You're not throwing it down, you're not acting hyper, you're not saying like, good, you're not doing things that make him excited, because he is a very excitable dog, so you're going to stay calm, because we want to build this calmness in him and have this at some point take over his life, and at least be a lot calmer than he is. He naturally was born this type of dog, but we can make him a lot calmer than he is by handling him in a calm way, and over time creates a new pattern, and he's going to be calmer, especially if you do this mat every day. And I'm actually talking while he's on the mat because I'm trying to eat up 5 minutes, which we may be able to do in this video. I usually practice with him on the mat for 5 minutes. So see how I'm placing it? No, he needs to really wait. Good, and then I say good when he takes it. See how he waits calmly until I withdraw, and he takes it off the mat. So this is just 10 days of practicing this. He was with me a while ago when he was a tiny puppy, and we sort of taught him this stuff, and he went home before he really had it. And of course he spent a number of months going crazy at home and running around and stuff, and so he pretty much had forgotten most of this. So excuse me, I would count this as being 10 days. 10 days of learning a downstay on the mat, and it's all about the stay, of course, and it's all about doing commands the first time that we tell him. We never repeat a command, of course, and you're gonna have to stop yourself. But if you want to develop and instill this pattern of he does everything the first time that you say it, you have to only say it once. And of course, we're always practicing with a leash. Good. Because if you try to practice without a leash with a dog that's not fully trained, he's going to make mistakes, and you're going to have to grab him and chase him around, and everything's going to fall apart. So you always practice with a leash, and the leash is a way to gently but firmly reinforce whatever you're teaching him. And then if you wanted to practice a lot, you eventually get to off leash over time, because all he knows is that he always hears it once and always has done it the first time. And we practice longer and longer stays. Like we're in a fenced yard now, so I'm gonna walk away. You can just show him, but I'm gonna walk like maybe 20 feet back. I'm just backing up all the way to this wall, coming back. Guess what happens? No matter where you go, no matter what you do, you always reward in the same way. Good. As long as he stays on the mat, that's what's important right now. So I dropped the leash because I'm doing much wider circles now. I'm just showing you how to accelerate the whole process and get longer and longer downstays. And of course, if he has better downstays, sit stay is going to be better as well. And keep in mind, remember, we don't have to say stay, because we're just teaching him to wait for us to come back and release him in a very specific way. So you don't have to say stay constantly anymore. Good. So of course, stay is built into down and stay is built into sit. So all you say is one thing, down or sit, and then he waits until you come back. So I also had started practicing. So he's good with me walking all the way around him, which is always the first start with a stay. And then you start doing things that are a little bit harder for him to handle. This is always hard for dogs because usually the leash has been tight and people pull the dog around or struggle with him. See how I pulled in that and he stayed there? And that would be a no. Make sure no matter what you do, he really waits. Good. Gets a reward for that. You can even practice from different angles because he may be good from in front of him, but if you do it from the side, good, might be a little bit harder. So I'm always trying to see if there's any weak points in a distraction that I'm trying with him. If he's good one way, I'll try it a different way to make sure we hit all the angles. It really helps him overall just have a much better a much better stay. If you just try all these different angles, all these different ways, and you think he might be triggered to get up. And I'm trying to do something, and I think before I end this little sequence here, good, I'm gonna try to make him get up. So show me, I might have to step this way, show me leaving the yard. I've never practiced this, and if he makes a mistake, I'll show you how to fix a mistake. So I'm gonna go through this gate. If you are gonna do something, practice something that you think is difficult for him to handle, you can remind him down. So you're reminding him what to keep doing. Okay, so that made him get up. So of course you're gonna stay calm. You're gonna say no. And then, okay, let's go. I've never practiced that before. You're gonna step into him, gently but firmly, put him back, and see how he put himself back. He knows this game, because this is a game in his mind, well enough to know that he just lost focus and he needs to put himself back. So that just means that he can't handle that level of distraction yet. So you would be working on that level of distraction. Let's try it again. Down. Nope. I don't know if you can see, if you can tell, but each time he gets up, he's a little bit less excited. Let's go, bud. Come on, this way. See, this is the hyperactive little Willett that we all know and love. But we're training his brain, and it's a very methodical process. Okay, let's try it again. Down. Success. Big reward. Big reward. Good, that's a piece of chicken breast. Something special when he has a success. Now I think it took me, good, it was a big one. That's a big distraction because that's where we come in and out of this yard, and this is one of the main yards. He always runs up to greet us. He always chases us there when we leave. So that was a big distraction. He really wasn't quite ready for it, so we did like 7 or 8 tries. We'll just show you a few of those because we don't want to bore the heck out of you. But when he had a success, big reward, another big reward, good, and now we release on a very successful note, doing the other stuff, kind of a cool down, as if it was a brain workout. Do a little cool down where we just do the basic down stay, one more reward, because he's just in the middle of his training. He's not fully trained yet. He's just learning to stay, but you see how good, you see how we go about doing it and working with things that are difficult for him to handle, working through it, finally getting a success, and then moving on, ending on a success, always. Okay. Sit, see how I said okay, pat my leg, brought him off the mat, had him sit, and then we pat his chest, go, and he's free. Always pick up this mat because this is a very sacred place that he's only allowed to go on it when you allow him on, only allowed to come off when you allow him to come off. This is a fast track to building a rock solid downstay. Very soon he'll do whatever he does on this mat, he'll do without the mat. And maybe in another, if you continue this in another week to 2 weeks, start practicing little downs like I'm gonna do right now. Just around the house or in your yard. Down. See, I just kind of lightly stepped on that leash. See how he's kind of like not quite down yet. Make sure his elbows are all the way down, just like he would be on the mat. Just practice little stuff like that. Good, without the mat. And then Okay, release him, sit before he makes a mistake, and just do what I did on the mat. Just make those periods of downstays in your house, in your backyard, wherever you're starting to practice it. Go. Make those periods longer and longer and longer, just like we did on the mat. But it's because of practicing them with the mat in the way that I showed you that he's going to be able to do downstays really well. If you continue to do this, he'll be really good in just a couple more weeks. He's already dealing with big distractions like the gait, so that's really good. Okay. Okay. Sit. Good. See how we don't repeat the command? He went down into a sit the first time I told him. If he had not done that, I would have just pulled up gently. There's no rough stuff, especially with this dog, but really with no dog, of course. We just reinforce the command gently but firmly, not jerking, popping, hanging. Just would have just taken a little bit with Willett, and his butt hits the ground, and you release the leash, and then stay is built into sit. And of course, Willett's only been here for a short period, and this video is just to show you how far we've gotten and what to continue doing and how we started doing it. So we've got a little sit stay like this. He's a very active little puppy. So we're really working on the stays. Did you notice how, I'm going to do it again, I rewarded him. Eye contact. It looks like he can't see you, but he can with all that hair. Straight down. Good. He's literally looking at me in the eyes when I reward him. Don't do this where the hand comes down and he's like that, because you make yourself fairly irrelevant when you're just his valet or servant that just gives him his, it's like he's eating out of a trough or something. Eye contact, he's looking up at you, straight down. You don't have to bend over or do anything. Just watch me. My body is straight. He is small, but just a little bit. Good. So you don't have to do this or any of that. Just do it the way that I did it. And see, we're still in the stay. If he breaks out of that stay, let's pretend that he made a mistake. Okay. So I kind of released him. Let's pretend he popped up. You say no, and you step into him gently but firmly. Just put him back. See that gentle tension? His butt hits the ground. You release it. And you do it again, and if he pops up 5 times in a row, which is what he was doing a week and a half ago when we started doing this, you just reset him. It's just reset, reset, reset. There he made a mistake. No. There's no corrections. They're just teaching him the system. And then when he does it correctly, he gets a reward and he gets to be free. So simple. And see how he calms down when you do this with him? This working, this is work for him. He has to focus and be in the moment to, stay in that sit, stay, and wait. This is mental exertion that makes him tired and calmer. Good. And to release him out of that sit, stay, he's on my left. With my right hand, I'm going to pat his chest and say, go. And he's free. I always practice the come command the same way every time. Left hand leash, right hand reward. If we're walking him, I'm always keeping the leash loose. Never go like this, never choke up, never let him pull you. If he tries to pull you, just let him go to the end of the leash and do a little tap like that. It's really easy. He's a small dog. He's very small. And you don't want to be rough with him, of course, but he'll go to the end of the leash and he'll feel that he can't lead you around and he'll stop. And pretty soon he's just not going to be pulling you anymore because that's the pattern. Left hand leash, right hand reward, target, right? Not an open hand or whatever. It's just easy. Make a fist. Come. Good. Because when we call him in an emergency and there's nothing in there, he doesn't know it's empty. All he knows is he's come to this hundreds of times, because you can practice hundreds of times and even a month with this. And come. He'll come wherever you want him to go. Good, good. Just love him up extra if there's no reward. Always use this target. Never call him to an open hand. Notice he came to it, it opened. I gave him the treat if it was in there, but I gave him I said good still, and I gave him pets. The only thing that was missing was the treat. So it's a very easy way to practice and have an excellent recall. As usual, you never repeat it. If he ever ignores the command, he's in your backyard or something, he's after a squirrel or whatever, whatever distracts him, stay calm, only say it once. Make sure that you have something. He's not ready. We're not ready to go without treats yet. I usually phase the treats out in 3 to 5 weeks, depending on what his issues are. So he's only been here for a little while. But over time, if he ever does ignore your command, go get your leash, go get a reward, go find him, lure him to you, good, hook him up, and then practice it again. Come, draw him back to, good, originally where you were by your back door, set up that pattern, or get a long line, 10, 15, 20 foot long line. It's a very thin, light leash, and practice from long distances if you're having any kind of problem with long distance recalls with him on your property, of course. Never off leash out in public. Okay, let's go. Come on, buddy.